A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 14th June 2020, and I would like to start today's discussion with this quote by Osho. The real question is not whether life exists after death. The real question is whether you are alive before death. Just breathing, just breathing is not living. Living is far more wide, far more beautiful than just breathing. So, when we say we are alive, right, before death, it's not just about breathing, it's about living up to your maximum potential. So, think about it, right? All of us needs to think on this particular question that are we really alive before death? With this, dear friends, StudyIQ team has designed a smart course. Now, this smart course is for your pre and mains examination of civil services, right? UPSC IAS exams. And to find out more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application. Till 20th June, we are also providing you this offer of EMI. So make the most out of this offer. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my Telegram channel. Dear friends, you can follow me on Facebook, and please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. Hit the like button if you have learned something from today's discussion, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On our table, we have 4 important articles. Today is Saturday, so we don't have that many articles like we have normally on weekdays. But I have got one article from the Tribune newspaper. The second one is from Indian Express. This one, what government could have done and the things that government needs to do. So we are going to talk about some things that government should have done, and some suggestions are coming from this article. Then we have one on education. Very interesting, very important article. And the last one is about a small one. It's about Tamil Nadu and some 1,000, I think total 1,016 or 18. There are 1,016 places whose names are changed by Tamil Nadu government. So let's start with this one. Delhi's COVID crisis. It's coming from the Tribune. Delhi is in a very bleak situation at present. It's not just about the number of new cases. The worst thing is that the number of deaths. And Delhi as a place, as a national capital, right? It should be one of the most secure place because it's a national capital, isn't it? It should be a sort of a lighthouse for other cities and villages and other states and areas and union territories. But unfortunately, it is not at present a good lighthouse for other places of our country as well as for the world. For a very long period of time, Delhi has been infamous for, air pollution. Then it is also sometimes termed as a rape capital of our country, which is very unfortunate. Murders, and there are other sort of crimes as well. It's not one of the safest as well as the most. It's indeed beautiful, but it's not safest. And there are so many bad things. And of course, there are so many good things as well in Delhi, but there are many bad things as well. Okay. Anyway, remember that suggestion about that example of South Africa. South Africa is a country where they have their different financial capital, they have their different political capital, they have their different judicial capital. So I think this is the right time this is a wake-up call for India as well, that we need to have a judicial capital in different city. We need to basically decentralize our important pillars so that, God forbid, if we find like, let's say, earthquake or this sort of pandemic in future, then all our eggs are not in one basket. You know what I mean? Anyway, Delhi, which figures among the states worst hit by COVID-19, is also proving to be one of the worst performers in terms of fighting the pandemic. Sadly, 3 things which we can do it, the things that are under our control, like coronavirus, the birth of coronavirus, the way it is changing itself and other things associated with coronavirus may not be under our control. but keeping a safe distance. And here you can see this ABC, the reason why Delhi has failed, because inadequacy of the city-states healthcare setup. It is on us, right? It is on the local administration to boost local government, to boost healthcare setup. Second thing is ill preparedness of the authorities, what they were doing in this nearly 2 month or 2 month plus lockdown phase. See, the political one-upmanship between AAP government and the BJP-led municipal corporations. Unfortunately, during this crisis as well, we see dirty games. We see this dirty politics between AAP and BJP, and I'm sure there are other political parties, whichever political parties we find that whoever are part of this political parties, right, directly, indirectly, all are involved. And not just political parties, right, I would say that people are also involved in this sort of petty politics. At present, all our energy should be directed towards one goal, and that is to hit coronavirus and to eliminate coronavirus from our country, particularly from our national capital. Delhi High Court has said this thing that it looks like national capital is turning itself into a coronavirus capital or a corona capital, which is very unfortunate. This is the most scariest figure I have ever come across, right? Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi has said that by the end of July, Delhi will see 5.5 lakh COVID cases. 5.5 lakh. We are at 13th June. So roughly in next 45 days, we are going to see the total figure of Delhi is going to be 5.5 lakh. This is very scary. And this also reminds us about the reason why Delhi is failing is because ABC, right? This A, B and C, and ill preparedness is not acceptable. Then this was a very bad example of Amit Kumar, constable who passed away. He was 32-year-old, and one Delhi hospital after another washed its hands of Kumar. He was sent from this place to that, and finally this person, this police constable, he was a corona warrior, he passed away. So just imagine the situation of a commoner. Another controversy that is going on at present is that there is a wide disparity between figures put out by the government and those claimed by municipal corporations. So why do we have this mismatch? Don't they have a good calculator? No, the problem is not calculation. The problem is about saving your image. But this is very unfortunate. What we can learn from China? The thing that we can learn from China is that do everything, but make sure that you don't break people's trust, right? Trustworthiness is the core of, or at the very core of government. If people will not trust you, once people will realize that government is manipulating figures and numbers, then people will not trust you. And if they don't trust you, they will not believe you. If they don't believe you, they will not cooperate with you. And in future, if you ask them to do something, they will not do it. And this will lead to anarchy. We don't want to see this thing. And this is not just about Delhi. This applies to our whole nation. So any place, right, it is very important to make sure that transparency, even though it may look bad, that numbers are going up, right, this will, fear as well plays a very important role. Fear is not always bad. Fear will make sure that you will stand up. Fear will make sure that you don't fall down. And if you fall down, then fear of failure or fear of death or fear of coronavirus will create that kick in every one of us that we need to fight, and we need to do everything that is possible to fight this coronavirus. So transparency is the key. So enough said. Now I have added one news item with this editorial. News item is that there was a meeting that was called by Delhi Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal. It was attended by top ministers and important people, like Chief Minister was part of it. There were other senior officials and Delhi Chief Secretary, Police Commissioner, Home Ministry representative, District Magistrate, DCPs and other people were available. And the most important thing at present is to increase the availability of beds in Delhi hospital, because this is one of the main reasons why people are dying in Delhi. Patients in national capital are dying because they cannot get beds. Now we are in second article, what government could have done. Here you will find things that government could have done and things that government should do now. So even after harsh and unforgiving lockdown of more than 60 days, the curve of COVID-19 infection refuses to flatten. The reason is that there are so many places, there are so many mistakes that are conducted by a government. The most important thing that I find in this article is wide consultation. Before going ahead with the lockdown, right, if government could have consulted with epidemiologists, with public health experts, with economists, social scientists, and other local people, stakeholders, important players, right, those players, those stakeholders who can tell you the truth, right, if you bring in those people who are like yes sayers, right, then they will tell you that yes, we have all the facilities in our area, don't worry. No, we don't need those sort of people. We need those people on board who can tell you the truth, that the reality is that in our country there are slums where they don't have piped water facility. So how they are going to manage their sanitation, how they are going to wash their hands, right, from where they will get water. If you don't allow them to step out of their house, then what will happen? They will rush out, there will be panic, there will be patharbazi and stone pelting, and there will be clashes. So what should we do about it? The simple logic is that you provide them water tankers that can carry water from the place where water is available to this slum area, so that hygiene, sanitation, all these things are. There are so many poor areas in our country, they cannot afford to buy, they have one soap, right? I'm sure you know about those families as well, that they buy one soap, right? I'm talking about this bathing soap. And once that soap is nearly out, they will buy the another one. They cannot afford to have, they cannot purchase like 10, 15, 20 soaps from malls and from this big supermarkets. So what about those families? How many, roughly speaking, families do we have in our country like that? Maybe crores and crores of people. So how we are going to ensure that, provide them with soap, provide them with what do we call it, sanitizers, right, hand sanitizers, provide them free hand sanitizers, tell them how to make hands, in the sense like how you can add, how if water needs to be added, not added, etc. Create mass campaigns. What South Korea did without lockdown. If South Korea can control it, then why can't we control it? The most disturbing thing that I personally find is long queue of poor people. The reason why they are standing in a long queue is because, and they are standing, in one of the hottest phase, or the summer time, they were standing just to get their meal. This is this is very disturbing, and I would call it a sort of violence, right? It may not look violent, but it is a sort of violence. It's how illogical it is that you ask so many thousands of people, they are standing in a long queue. Now people say this sort of arguments I have heard, that we have big populations. Okay, we have big population, then we have so many hands and foot as well. We can ask more people. If you are standing in a queue, first of all, have a proper queue zigzag management, right? Then you can ask people, if you have population, if we have population, right, then we can deploy some, let's say 10, 15 people, right, or maybe 20 people, right? We can form a team. This team will have a proper protocol of ensuring that they are clean in the sense they have washed their hands and wearing gloves and mask and other things, and they can distribute. We can have proper counters, right? We can create meals, right? Those when I say meals, I'm talking about plates, right? You can have a parcel plates where you can add all the food that you want to give, cooked food, of course, and then you can have distributing people who are distributing these things, right? So they can just roam around. So there are so many means. If we really want to do it, then this is just a rough example, right? We can do it. There's no point of asking people to stand for hours and hours just for getting one meal, right? And so this is very disturbing. Now, lockdown has created big disruption as well, and at the end of the lockdown, it was widely said, and we have talked about this thing as well, and I'm sure we all are aware about this fact that many people would have got, they might have passed away or died because of not COVID-19, but because of mass hunger and unemployment. So unlocking was a sort of, we were in a very tight corner. We were left with no option apart from unlocking our country, and lockdown has created a severe disruption in supply chain, and there are so many people, they are out of work, and this is going to create more problems for them. Government could, with scientists and economists, have responded to the question in open, regular and empathetic press briefings as well. There should have been press briefings and things. Now, anyway, we have talked about this thing. So moving on to next important point is that economists like Prabhat Patnaik and Jayati Ghosh, they have calculated that, first of all, various different experts have said this thing, that the figure of cash transfer suggested by various different experts has been somewhere around 7,000. So let's say each and every household, I'm not talking about individual family members, I'm talking about a household, each and every household should be given with 7,000 rupees as unconditional cash transfer. Second thing, if let's say I think that I don't need this 7,000, then I can return this 7,000 back to the government. I can give it back to the government, and government can cancel my name and it can give it to someone who is in genuine need. So this option should have been provided. Second thing, not just cash. With cash, you need to provide them pulses, oil, cooking gas, and other things. Right? All these things, this combination, this combo, and I would go to an extent. I would add a bottle of liquid, antiseptic liquid, then your sanitizer, then soap, right? Water supply. These are the things as well that you need to add. As per Patnaik and Ghosh, these two economists have said that if we provide this sort of support for 3 to 6 months, then it is going to cost us some 3% of our GDP, which is okay. And we have enough food stock, to food grain stock, to provide it to each and every family of our country. So 3% of GDP is not that bad when you compare it with what other countries are giving, 10% and up to 20%. And 1 or 2 days ago, few economists have said, I think it was S&P, Standard and Poor, has recently released its report. And its report, S&P has also said this thing, that giving more money now is better than, if you worry about fiscal deficit and if you worry about your long-term debt, then it is better to give more money now, so that the more money you inject in the market, the more quickly you are going to come out of this whole mess. We need to extend our MG-Narega type employment guarantee program to urban area as well. These are the things that we need to do. Then as far as pensions are concerned, you have to increase pension a little bit and then hand over this pension directly to elderly pensioners. You need to visit their place and hand them cash. This may sound a bit odd, but this is the best thing that you need to do. If you transfer online, then there are so many elderly people, they have never used this thing, so it's not going to be very helpful for them. It's going to be very painful for them to visit nearby branch or nearby ATM and then operate it, and so it's better that you provide them with cash. As far as our migrants are concerned, if they want to go back to their home, then train facilities should be provided free of cost. Of course, we have already talked about water supply. Then all those under trial prisoners, right? Those behind the bars for petty offences, they should be released. And PPE kit production, testing kit, ventilators. These are some basic things, right? So this is the reason I'm being a bit quick here, that we need to increase its production. Quarantine facilities should be up to the mark. And many of you would be wondering where the money will come from. The thing is, if we just, do you know this fact that top, let's say this is our pyramid, right? So top 1%, I'm talking about the wealthiest top 1% population, They have that much assets and money that the bottom 70% of population's total asset, you take it and if you multiply it by 4, whatever figure you get, right, that is whatever figure you get, XYZ amount is less than the total property of this 1% wealthy people in our country. So if you just add a cess, 2% cess on their wealth and 1% on this top 1% and inheritance tax of 33%, then as well it will be more than enough for us to sail through this COVID-19 expenses. Moving on to streamed education is diluted education. Very interesting article. This one is talking about this. This article starts with an example of helmet. Very sweet. Helmet. There are two types. One is expensive yet sturdy and safe. The other one is cheap. It will save you from traffic police because you are at least wearing an helmet. But God forbid if there is any accident, then it will not protect you. So which one is better? Of course, right, the one that will cost you 3,000, 4,000 rupees, it may hurt your pocket, but that is less expensive than a head surgery. Forget about head surgery after accident. You never know if you will survive or if your life will be back to normal or not. So 4,000, 3,000, this sort of helmet is not an expense, or even if a helmet is a bit expensive, it's okay because it's all about your head, it's all about your life. Same thing goes with education. Now, recently, University Grants Commission has encouraged universities to come on board on this massive open online courses, and so basically more and more online education and less, and this will more and more online education platform will hike our gross enrollment ratio. Right, so on paper it will look very good, but the real thing is that education is it's not just about information. How much extra information I can provide you, how much more data I can provide you, that is not education. Education is far more than that. Education is a two-way street where students can learn things from their professors, their educators at the same time. Professors and educators, they can learn, teachers basically can learn things from their students. And this is possible. This is how it should be. It's a two-way street, right? That's what I strongly believe as well. Now, if you are just talking about online education, this does not apply to your competitive exam, and it's not about defense, right? I'm telling you a fact and I want you guys to think about it. The reason I think this online thing does not apply to on this competitive exams is because you guys have already been to school, you guys have already completed your college. Here, when UGC is saying that more and more online education via this MOOCs, MOOC based e-learning platform, this idea is is going to be more on university and college students. Now, when you are in your college, when you are in school, right, it is very important that you interact with people. You fight with your classmates or your schoolmates or your college mates. I'm not saying that you need to fight physical fights. I'm saying that arguments may take place, small, big issues may take place in your life. You have gone through this sort of thing. Someone stole your mobile phone or your wallet or whatever, right? All these various different experiences. You have good friends. You go out in party and do so many things, isn't it? So all this good, bad, positive extremes, negative extremes, right? Medium things. Every single thing will add 1%, 0.1%, this, that, here, northeast, southwest. From every direction, things are trying to cultivate you. Things are trying to make you ready for present as well as future moment. That's what I think I have learned from universities and colleges and various different places where I have been. Today, when I see that when I was doing my masters and the things that I used to do, I feel so satisfied that I have been so lucky that I took it this way and I did that and I was able to do a job and whatever. So just imagine if I would have done it when I see myself, or when you see yourself, that your school, right? You have never been to school, like physical school, and you were always online, like you were studying in front of a computer, you might have missed so many things. That classroom, that experience. Life is not just about getting degrees, isn't it? What about your experience? So all these things are not available. So we need to create more institutions rather than taking everything online. I'm not saying online is not necessary. Online is important, right? You use it for research and so many things. You can do so many things online as far as education is concerned. So it's not bad, but if we are thinking that we need to convert all our schools and our colleges into online platform, then that's a bad idea. On paper, it will look good that everyone is enrolled, but it will not create that quality. It's not about tradition versus modern idea. It's all about understanding how we grow. And here, one more thing that this is very interesting example that I find here is that a teacher or an educator is like an intellectual midwife. Just like a midwife will help a lady to deliver a baby, in the same way, a teacher will play a very important role in this birth of a student's idea, and to create a world where they can think critically. I genuinely believe that teachers, they should create students who are more and more, means independence of students should be one of the main goal of teachers, so that students can learn themselves. It's all about, you train them, they learn from you, and then they become independent. That's what I have done from my teachers. They have done that thing with me. The reason why I'm able to speak with you guys on regular basis, or you appreciate my work, and the credit goes to my teachers, right? They made me independent. They created those situations where I was left on my own. And now I realize, like, those points were very important, right? So it's a two-way street, as I told you, right? We can learn. And it's also about like cricket, football, and boxing, right? You can do it online, but we are not going to be a world champion if we have boxed online or if you have played cricket online. For that, you have to go out there in the field. So it's a good thing that with few subjects like engineering, medicine, dental, pharmacy, nursing, architecture, agriculture, physiotherapy, laboratory and practical work is must. But at the same time, if you are thinking like for social sciences, for humanities and other things, only online lecture or theory is enough, then we are making a big mistake, right? Practical interaction is the most important thing. This one is about names and places. It's very easy to understand. Editorial, Tamil Nadu government has changed 1018 cities, towns and localities names. Spellings have been changed. Pronunciation will change as well with it. So few places like Shivaganga will be called Shivagangai, and there are other names as well. So here the most important thing is, it's I think, this is again my personal opinion, that when you change name of that place, like let's say if a name is here we know this example, Bombay and Mumbai is a very good example. Kolkata and Kolkata, very good example. Then Shivaganga and Shivagangai. So you're going to change the spelling, it's okay. Pronunciation will be a little bit changed, but when you make big changes like Coimbatore will become Coimbatore, or Vellore will become now Vellore. So this will create problems for local people as well, and it will create problems for outsiders too. And the biggest disruption, I think, is going to be with local people who have to change their address and everything on their ID. Of course, they have to get the latest ID. So implementation is going to be a very bit of challenge. Moving on to next item, it's about news items, right? So Finance Minister, she was addressing people after this GST Council and briefing media after 40th GST Council meeting. Ms. Sitharaman said that maximum late fee for not filing for GST sales return for July 2017 to January 2020 is capped at 500 rupees. The minister said the two decisions regarding late fee for non-filing of GST returns have been taken by the GST Council in order to clean up pendencies in a relief to small taxpayers with turnover up to 5 crore rupees. The GST Council halved the interest on delayed filing of GST returns for February, March, and April to 9%, provided the returns are filed by September 2020. Then, inverse duty or this duty inversion issue will be taken up, and next discussion, taxing pan masala, will also be taken on board. Recovery is not that bad. 49.47% recovery rate of our country is it's very impressive. A total of 1,47,194 individuals have been cured, and doubling rate continues to improve and has increased from 3.4% days at the beginning of the lockdown to 17.4% days currently. The Health Ministry has issued guidelines for officers on preventive measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. Asymptomatic staff and visitors only will be allowed, or only this asymptomatic staff and visitors will be allowed. That is the correct way to speak. Their entry will be allowed if they are wearing masks. So mask is mandatory. Sanitizer, using them, making sure that there is separate entry and exit for staff and visitors, and these are basic things that will be implemented, or should be implemented, of course. Home Ministry has permitted certain more categories of foreign nationals, including OCI card holders, to enter India. Union Home Secretary Ajay Bhalla has written to Chief Secretaries of all states and union territories to ensure that there is a seamless movement of essential goods on highways across the country. Only non-essential movement of individuals throughout the country is prohibited after 9 p.m. Apart from that, this transport, buses and everything buses carrying passengers are also allowed to fly without any restriction. Supreme Court today directed that no coercive action should be taken till last week of July against private companies which have failed to pay full wages to their employees during the coronavirus-induced lockdown period. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath inaugurated the TrueNet machines installed in hospitals of all 75 districts and 6 medical colleges of the state this evening. The TrueNet machine installed at each and every district of state will help in emergency treatment of non-COVID patients. It's like within 1 hour you will get your result, and one machine can test 20 to 25 samples in a day. And after this whole coronavirus episode will get over, hopefully in near future, then you can use the same machine for testing tuberculosis. On your screen, you can see the photo of veteran Urdu poet Anand Mohan Zutsi Gulzar Dehlvi. He passed away at the age of 93, and he was not well, and he was born in 1926, and he was also the editor of Science Ki Dunya, very important magazine, the first Urdu science magazine published by Government of India in 1975. So he was the editor of this magazine. So very famous person. He passed away, unfortunately. And that's everything in today's discussion. Tomorrow is Sunday, so no Hindu analysis. Now I will directly meet you on Monday as far as Hindu analysis is concerned. I will meet you today later on with daily financial news analysis. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.